Right, gang, here we are, your saltwater guy. We got Bill Varney with us, and we're bringing John back because what's going on in this catfishing world is something Bill and I got to pay attention to, because Bill and I have been telling you, they're coming for everybody in the United States of America as far as fishing goes. Bill and I, we just stand here, our jaw hangs when we think about how many sand crabs are we allowed to have? How many grunion are we allowed to have? How many of this? How many of that? We were just talking to John offline here about how they want to regulate the crawdads in Louisiana. Get out of the way. I'll tell you what, you coming to get their crawdads? Oh, what a scary thought. And old Phil Robertson must be up there going, what in the holy heck are they talking about? Coming for the crawdads? But we got the same problems going on here, John. Bill will tell you a story about a fish that is more populated than any fish in the world, the grunion. This is a little fish that comes up and spawns on the beaches, and I'm going to throw up some pictures. And they've taken it from have as many as you want to have 30. Just like that, with no science. Think about that, John. No science. Right, Bill?
It's amazing. As you said, Dave, it was an unlimited number that you were going to take. And the reason that it was unlimited for so long, which was like the case of Bonito back in the day and stuff, was because they're so prolific. Yeah. And so, they come out and they say like, oh, the biomass is impacted. And we found these people that took 250-gallon trash cans full of them, and they must be all gone and all that. So, over my life, I've been tracking him, but seriously, over the last 2 years, since they made that decision where you can't be unlimited, you can only take 30. We're going to take a 6-month season and make it 3 months. And we're going to take out the middle 3 months, which are the best spawning months for collecting and all that. And we're going to say that there's a big effect on the biomass. They're going to go extinct and all that. So over the past 2 years, through Dave a lot too, we have been covering them. We have been asking people to report back to us along the beaches from Santa Barbara, halfway up California, down to the Mexican border. There are so many, it's ridiculous. I have videos over and over and over from each run showing millions, if not billions of them. And people are saying, I can't even walk on the beach. There's so many of them. I'd be stepping on 50 of them every time I take a step. I can't even walk on the beach. There's so many of them. So they have zero science. They use this private organization, Grunion Greeters, which is run by some professor, I think at USC started it, to go out and like count them on the beach and use this special method where they could say there was this many or that many. They have zero coverage. Over the last 2 years, I've asked every person who sent me a report, pictures, videos, how many grunion greeters did you see at the beach? How many people did you see down there with clipboards writing down how many there were? You know what I've gotten? Zero down there. So it's all a bunch of baloney, and they just come up with this, and then they tell us this is what we're going to do. And they don't let us come back and say, well, here's the evidence we have that shows there's tons of them. They're everywhere out there. They don't care. They've already made their decision before they even bring it up publicly.
And the reason why I'm bringing any of this stuff up with John here is because the other day we had a phenomenal show, John, catfish fishing with V and her husband and so many other people, Parker, and you list the names of the gang. But when I was talking to everybody, I was finding out that they want to take the catfish that you're all fishing. This is just so overwhelming for me. That's why I'm like, John, you got to come back on here. And they want to take these trophy catfish that you guys spend all this money fishing for, and they want to trap them, and then they want to put them in a pay-to-fish lake. I'm trying to understand this shit. I'm sorry I cussed because I'm just overwhelmed by how they want to regulate what we're doing. We just want to fish. John, Bill, and I, if any one of the three of us piss a puddle outside, we're going to go throw a line in it to see if we can catch something in it. That's where our heads are at. Talk about this for a minute, John. And your buddy's on here right now fishing, so we're going to look at him while we're talking.
That's Danny Stone. Oh,
All
we're
right,
just getting set
Danny.
up. We don't even have the rods baited out yet. You guys just had
Okay,
your
Danny,
conversation. We've
we'll
got
come back to you.
yeah, we still got a lot of work to do. We're getting there.
Get her done. All right. So try to explain to everybody, because we're trying to wrap our head around this. And
Well,
Bill and I were listening to you before we went live, but this is something, gang, it just amazes me.
you know, in a lot of the northern states, I mean, we haven't had that issue here in Louisiana because, I explained the situation about that one. But most of your northern states, they're having trouble because commercial fishing is legal and they're allowing them, they don't just go to catch fish to eat or sell for someone to eat. What they're doing is they're targeting from a 30-pound fish to a 100-pound fish. That's all they're looking for. And they'll relocate them. They sell that same fish to what they call trophy pay lakes. They put them in that some of these pay lakes, they'll put 1,200, 1,400 pounds of fish in. And it ain't but a couple acres. And they charge people to come in, put a hook in him, take a picture, throw him back in the water. And they're not going to last. They're not going to last. They're going to die in that pay lake because it can't sustain that much fish, not that big of fish for that period of time. And dude, the bad part is legal. It's legal for them to catch them, and it's legal for them to sell them to them.
And then you're taking these big breeder catfish that everybody's spending all this time and money and effort trying to go out and find and come to your tackle store and buy the equipment to do it. And you're taking these big breeders and you're throwing. I was listening to Lisa talk about it, burrito catfish lady.
Yep.
They're taking these fish and then when they throw them in these little shallow water ponds, Bill, the fish loses its ability to spawn anymore. It's in massive shock. And then they're pretending like they're releasing them. What's happening is, if I remember what Lisa said correctly, these fish, they don't make it in there. There's not enough oxygen.
They don't. They might last a month.
So,
maybe a month.
It's crazy. Those big breeders too, like let's say that they do continue to spawn. They're spawning in an enclosed lake environment. Their spawn is not going and repopulating the river somewhere or where they originally came from. So it doesn't even, like, you can't even take the perspective of like, we're taking the really big ones out and they're spawning and it's creating all these new catfish everywhere. This is the problem we have with halibut. It's like you get a 40-pound halibut, it's going to spawn and have, let's say, 10,000 eggs. You get a 20-pound halibut, it's going to have 1,000 eggs, just as an example. And that's why it's so important to let them go and not keep them and let them go out and spawn. But if you remove them from the environment and you were to say like, oh, we're going to put them in a tank somewhere and they're going to spawn in there, how is their babies going to make it back to where they originally came from and repopulate and make it better for anglers? They aren't.
And that's the thing about catfish. On an average, with a blue cat, on average, it's 10,000 eggs per pound.
Wow.
And some of these fish they're pulling out, they're 70, 80 pounds, 90 pounds.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a lot of newborns that's gone.
And it goes against everything they're trying to do. What they're trying to do doesn't justify what they're actually doing. So this is why this needs to be brought to light and talked about. Because there's not a lot of, like Bill and I, we found out when we got involved with, well, Bill's been involved with this organization called CCA California. Now, you guys have it down there in Louisiana. I don't know if you're involved in it or not, but this organization puts together a bunch of like-minded people to try to save the sport fishing industry. And Bill and I, we found out that what it takes more than an org, it takes we the people. And so now that we're teamed up with you guys over here, John, and your tackle group and everybody. And now we're making it so that we're bringing all this news to the masses. We saved our industry out here on the West Coast. Right now we're catching this barred sand bass, and you guys got to watch it live the other morning with Matt Ryan. That is the fish that literally the Southern California sport fishing industry was built on the back of, and they wanted to take that fish away from us this year. Right now, if they would have got their way, it would have been a zero take. But because of people like Bill Varney and CCA and my sister and the Sport Fishing Association of California, and then my followers, Your Saltwater Guide, had a small part of this. We showed up at the meeting, and we made the Fish and Game Commission change their mind. Actually, I'm going to just use we scared the shit out of them.
There you go.
They didn't know that people actually cared about this barred sand bass.
That's right.
And if they would have had their way right now, the sport fishing industry in Southern California would be out of business.
And listen to this, John. This is what is so crazy. So they came out with no science saying that they wanted to basically eliminate the season. You know, like, hey, you can catch them in the middle of the winter when they're not biting. You can eliminate the season over the summer of these fish. They had no science whatsoever on them. And then fast forward to today. Okay, Dave has been talking about this for weeks. It's been absolutely wide open, A. B, I have never seen such big sand bass in my life. I have had 50 pictures sent to me of sand bass, maybe 5 to 8 pounds on fish that are normally maybe in the range of 2 or 3 pounds. There's so many big ones out there, and they're all these ones that are not from this area. All of these things go against everything that the department had said about the reason for closing them. I had a picture come the other day of a guy who caught a 7-pounder on the beach at the Huntington Beach Cliffs right off the sand, let alone a dozen more pictures I've had of smaller ones in the last 2 weeks caught on the beach. So they're on the beach, they're wide open on the boats, they're absolutely everywhere. And 2 months ago, they said, hey, they're close to extinct. We want to close down the fishing completely for them. Because of our group coming forward and CCA coming forward and talking to them, they went from a 5 limit, which used to be 10, to a 4 limit. Thank God. I mean, if they had closed it, this would have been the biggest mistake in the history of the commission. There would have been literally millions of caught and released fish that they were saying 2 months ago were close to extinct.
Yeah, that's like Virginia on the James River. Late 60s, they introduced catfish. Well, last year, the Fish and Game Commission tried to put the catfish as an invasive species and clean the river out. But everybody stood up and fought it. As of right now, it's knocked down, and they ain't nothing said about it. They ain't doing nothing else. They ain't fighting it anymore. But you know good and well it's going to come back up.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And the reason why I know a lot of you are like, wait a minute, this is your saltwater guy. What are you talking to this guy for? Because this is the United States of America. We're all in this together, gang. And the thing about what's going on where you guys are at in Ohio, and where Lisa and V and Randy and Parker and everybody's fishing at, that's the United States. That's our state. That's our country. That's our country. We the people, gang. And if you listen to Michael Folks, the United States of America was founded on the back of outdoorsmen like ourselves. And if we don't stand up and say we're tired of this crap and what's going on with this catfish and making them eat hooks and putting chemicals in the water to make up just all the garbage that we're doing to our environment for the betterment of the fish is ridiculous. Like Bill Varney and I talked about, John, and all your friends that are watching right now, you guys heard about the giant fires that happened in LA. Well, Bill will tell you, it all burned, but guess where all that, and nobody wants it dumped in their backyard, all this trash, because it's toxic trash. But guess where all the water, every time
All
it
that
rains
goes
right
in the
now in
water.
Southern California,
Yep.
in our ocean that we're not allowed to fish because we're going to affect it. So we can't fish there, but they can dump. I mean, Bill and I, we've been, right, Bill? Talk about that for a
It's
minute.
crazy in the sense that that first of all, you know, they just allow all these effluents to wash right in the water. Over
Yeah.
90% of all of the culverts in Los Angeles, which takes the water off of the streets from rain when it rains occasionally, or there's a flood or a pipe breaks or whatever, goes directly into the ocean untreated. And so that goes into the ocean. Now, what's amazing is I received surf fishing reports from the Palisades area over the last week, and there's a lot of corvina and perch and other fish down there because fish are really resilient. They're not like something that's weak like a trout. They're very saltwater fish are very strong and in large part very resilient. So they can offset some of these effluents, but they tell us that we're going in and we're raping the ocean and we're taking this fish and that fish and we've got too many grunion, which is so ridiculous. You know, it's like, oh, we took one of the planets. Like there's not a billion other planets we don't even know about. So all of this is just their way of controlling us. And that's what they like to continue to do to make us believe what they think is the truth.
Yep. I don't believe any of them.
No, I don't either.
I don't believe any of them. I don't, because they're not the ones out there fishing.
Exactly.
That's the biggest problem, John. They don't listen to you. They don't listen to V. They don't listen to Lisa. They don't listen to Parker. They don't listen to Randy. They don't listen to any of us that are out there every day. They, especially in California, the biggest problem out here is voter ID. Well, there's no voter ID, and then these people that are running the Fish and Game Commission and the Fish and Game. These are people that are appointed that have no affiliation with the outdoors in any way, shape, or form. Bill Varney and I will tell you, we've been to these meetings. We want to come to your guys' meetings now and see what the hell's going on there, because I told everybody, pay attention. This is going on everywhere. And then because we got introduced to you through my buddy Justin Bottrell, and now we're hanging out with the River Cats Tackle folks, which are a cool bunch of people. Bill and I are getting to learn about all the garbage that's going on in the rest of the country. And we all got to stay diligent, and we all got to stay informed, and we all got to participate in helping each other's fisheries.
Yeah. And that's like Chris, Catch Fish with us. He made a comment a while ago. Show up at the meetings. Don't complain from afar.
Right.
Be there. Get involved. And like I said, a lot of these guys, they don't want to get involved because they don't want to be the bad guy.
Exactly. And you know, John, what was interesting is that like their system here in California only allows 50 people to speak. They have a lot of reasons for that. Like they probably don't pay for more. They're limited on time all the time, you know, because they've already made their decision. So like when we talk, it's just boring to them. But what really got them was not what we had to say, not what I had to say or Dave had to say or any of our members had to say. It was the fact that so many people wanted to speak, and they wanted to speak against what was being done. And they didn't even listen to what we had to say, but because of the sheer numbers of people that we brought in, they had to listen to it. And that's what made a difference. And that's what will make a difference in your state.
Well, I can tell you this much. You can ask any of these guys that's involved with River Cats Tackle. They'll tell you how I am in a restaurant. So ask them what they think I'd be like in one of these meetings.
Exactly.
they'll know I'm there. That's for sure.
Exactly. And our meeting got stopped. The last 2 meetings ago got stopped in the middle of the meeting over the fact that the couple commissioners wanted to tell us how much we were threatening to them. Yeah. And we are like polite. I mean, we're polite. We don't do personal attacks on them and all this. And still they felt completely threatened. I can't imagine how they would feel if I walked in there with open carry and told them how mad I was at what they did and what they continue to do to us. So yeah, they are so thin-skinned. It's unbelievable. They're not willing to sit down and have an adult conversation about something and deal with people's emotions. They want to just have it their way. And when you bring up your emotions and say, I'm really upset with this. I spent 60 years of my life on the beach, and you're taking away something that I know more about than you'll ever know about. And then all of a sudden they'll say, oh, we're threatened. We feel threatened. We can't allow these people to speak anymore. So this isn't America. This is not democracy when we do this. It's their side versus our side, and that's got to end.
So the thing is, they're just not used to any type of resistance. They don't believe in resistance. They just, their words. And this goes back to what all these people were marching about a week and a half ago. No kings. Well, we have a king in California. I'm sorry, for lack of a, we have a king in California. He follows no laws. He follows nothing. He makes his own way as he goes, and we all just have to fall in line behind him. And if there's any resistance at all, they don't know how to act, and so they shut down the meeting. So it's kind of a weird deal. But and forget all this crap. We talked about it enough. It's Okuma Wednesday, gang. We can't do this show without the great sponsors, and Okuma is a big sponsor, big part of the show. Okuma takes really good care of Bill Varney and myself and a lot of our members, and they serve us up the best tackle out there. I got a cool little video to show you, and then right after that video, we're going to go down here to the pier, and John's going to tell us what's going on down here on the pier and what we could possibly catch. And the only person we all care about is that young man standing right there. He's the most important person in this show. So check this little commercial out that I have from Okuma, and then we'll jump right back into this and find out what that young man's doing down there on that pier. What do you guys think? Does that sound cool? What did I do with this commercial? There it is. Bam.
Hey guys, this is John Bretza, Director of Product Development for Okuma Fishing Tackle. I have one of the most exciting new products that we just launched at the ICAST show. This is called the McCarty Rapid Crank. It's developed to fit the McCarty 50 wide or 80 wide reels. And so this has multi-use applications. So it was originally developed for guys that are gonna retrieve the kite. They don't have an electric reel. They don't have to spend time wrenching down on a reel without having that electrical device. The other advantage, some guys want a deep drop for swordfish, but they don't want an electric reel. They want to drop down, but they want to fight the fish on an actual traditional rod and reel. But you're checking your bait throughout the day. So this will aid you in retrieving the bait, but when you hook that fish, you can fight it on a traditional reel. The other thing that you have is that it works as a line spooling station so that you can spool up your reels down at the boat. But the most important new feature that we found or benefit for this reel is that for West Coast anglers, there's a big explosion of guys chasing bluefin tuna, trolling big spreader bars very far behind the boat. Also, the Mad Max are very popular. They're running 150, 200 yards behind the boat. You might have 2 to 3 reels out there in the spread with lures out there. And so when you get bit, or you've got a boat coming at you, or you got to check to see if there's grass on the lure, you got to retrieve that lure out pretty quickly, but it wears you down. You want to be ready for that fish. This McCarty Rapid Crank, I'm going to show you exactly what happens. This is a packaging. You can see the back's got the instructions. And I'm going to open this up just so you can see exactly how it comes. So you're going to get the Rapid Crank that we have right here. And then you're going to also get this shaft, which is what you traditionally see on a traditional drill. 15-degree articulating shaft. And what this does is when you put it on a McCarty, you're going to put your McCarty in low speed, and then this is going to snap right in, and you'll see there's a little notch right here. It's going to snap right on place, right? And then what I'm going to do next is you take any drill that you have on the boat, and you'll see it actually swivels a little bit. So of course I'm not out fishing right now, this is just to demonstrate, but the drill's in low speed, and you'll see right there, that is a lifesaver. We were just out tuna fishing 2 days ago. We were able to stay well rested, retrieve our baits, no problem. So that's the McCarty Rapid Crank. You just pop it off. All right, gang,
so go check that out. And I'm going to throw the QR code up on the screen here. You guys can go to OkumaFishingUSA.com and check out all the great products over there at Okuma USA. AkumaFishingUSA.com. Check it out, gang. So let's see. Bill, I'm going to try to clean this screen up so we can see the young man fishing in the corner, and me, the three of us will be in the bottom. Let's see how I do.
That's banana. Yeah, this is the company I pro staff for right here, River Cats Tackle. I'm trying to get that flag hang up there. It's going on crazy.
That is so cool. Yeah, definitely. Can I take a picture of your flag?
There we go.
Cody,
I did it. Look at me, all technical,
That's
Bill.
amazing.
Yeah, no Elliot.
Oh boy, you've learned a lot.
Yes, I did. So look at that rod, Bill. Look at the length of
I know
that
that's
rod.
like an old surf casting rod.
you on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you're
no,
on.
we got a kid down here. We don't know him, but he's man, he hooked up on a beast a while ago. Hey, we don't care. Any kid, we're gonna film him. Well, we got permission from the
We all
parents.
want to see. You got us all watching right
Yep.
now.
What's he got? Oh, dude, I think he's got a big old blue crab. He's got a blue crab.
Hey, that looks cool.
Flip it over, dude. Flip it over.
Oh, heck yeah.
That is I think that is definitely a keeper, man.
Oh yeah. Grab that thing. Hurry, get him. Don't be afraid.
I'll get
Throw that towel on him.
Yeah, that's probably what was messing with. No, that other one was pulling, actually. That one wasn't pulling, he was just waiting. Is that the first crab you've ever
Woohoo, look at that.
There you go.
Nice one.
No.
Ooh, that'll be good eating.
And I believe that's a male too, isn't it? Let me see.
Hey, and just remember, you're the one that brung me on the golf cart over here.
What's your name?
Jackson Worst.
Where you from, Jackson?
Hey.
Alabama.
Oh, damn.
Jackson,
Huh?
you're live.
That's Captain Dave talking to you, man. They know who you are, Captain Dave.
All right, Jackson, check it out. Jackson got himself a nice crab. Go catch something else, Jackson. We're all going to watch
Hey,
you.
you guys want to be on real quick? Come on. Don't be bashful.
Come on, get
All right,
on the
say hi to
show.
Captain
This is what
Dave.
it's all about. Hey, guys. Hey, check us out on YouTube.
Nice to see you. Well, nice to be here. Hey, if I had something to put it in, I'd bring it home.
Nice to see you guys. Thank you.
All right, so you don't want it?
Nah.
I'm going to pitch it in the cooler if you don't care. Fantastic.
Yeah, let's take that thing home and eat it.
home and eat it.
Get baited out,
Yeah,
Jackson.
Bill and
Let's
I-
get on it, buddy.
Hold on, guys.
If you don't want to eat it, Bill and
No,
I
you
will.
know
That's
it, man.
FedEx it to us.
Yeah, we told them we're going to run along this pier. We see a kid hook up. We're going to film them if the parents are okay with it. You know, we're going to. But we had permission from Jackson's parents already, so we went ahead and hauled butt down there.
Good, good. Yeah, we don't want to end up like P. Diddy.
Got no doubt.
We'll be back.
What do we
All
got
right,
here?
thanks, you guys.
Who's that
Appreciate
young man in the green shirt?
Now, are these pay piers? Do you pay to go out on the pier?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, there's.
No.
We lost John there.
John.
It ate my shrimp.
It ate your shrimp.
I'm not getting no more bites because I don't think they like that.
Can you hear us at
Yeah,
all?
we can hear you loud and clear. I'm just running everywhere,
Okay.
so you know it makes it. I have to run back and forth because when we're beside the phone, we can hear you. Coda can say hi. Hey,
All right,
Coda.
well, hi, Coda.
Yep, and there's our brother Brantley. Brantley's here with us.
All right.
Hey, Brant.
Hey, Bradley.
All right, well, I got to get them baited back up there. I guess it's going to be blue crab picking shrimp all day long for us, but we'll try to catch something better.
We're gonna stand by and watch and talk about you guys while we're doing this.
Fantastic.
Nothing
If,
better than taking,
If we don't answer you, it's because we're not ignoring you. We're just too far away from the camera to hear you.
Oh, okay.
that's okay. Bill and I got plenty to talk about.
We always do.
It's Bill. Is this the best though? It's all about taking kids fishing.
Oh, it's
right?
so wonderful. You know, I mean, really, you know, for me, whether it's kids or adults, taking people fishing for the first time and them catching their first fish, the look on their face, you know, I'll give you just one example of the opposite. So I had a surf fishing clinic in Oceanside, and it was on Father's Day, which seemed smart at the time, but when we got there, it wasn't too smart because everybody goes to the beach on Father's Day. but we were fishing, and it was a little bit slow at first, and it's about half the people left of our group, maybe 50 people, and left 20 or 25 folks there. Well, one of the people gets hooked up. It was his dad and his son, and the dad gets hooked up, and he fights this fish, and he reels it in. The first surf fish he had ever caught in his life. He was 81 years old. His son was, I think, 66, around there, 65, 66 years old. First fish dad had ever caught, about a 7-pound spot fin croaker. I took a picture of him and his son on Father's Day. I've never seen bigger smiles on anybody's face in my life. So whether you're a young kid or you're a 81-year-old adult and it's your first time fishing, there's nothing like catching a fish for your first time.
So, John, why they're doing this, tell us where they're at.
I want to say you down around Bay St. Louis, huh, Danny?
Yeah, we're at Bay St. Louis down here just past Waveland, Mississippi.
Okay. What body of water?
This is the Gulf of America, baby.
Yes, it is. Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
baby.
You're on the right channel for that.
Yeah, Danny's he's one of our vets that's part of the group.
Danny, thank you very much for your service, buddy.
He ain't here.
Thank you very much.
And John, are these piers you pay to fish on, or are they free?
Bill, I think they're free, but I don't know because I've never been down there.
Yeah, because I know in Florida they have some piers that are privately owned and you pay to go fishing on them.
I think these are public.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, can you hear us?
Danny Stone.
Nope. He said he's walking away from the phone. He'll get back.
I like how they make the top plate on the rail curved.
I'm back with you. What's up, brother?
Go ahead, John.
Danny, that's a public pier, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
There's there are
there's
dozens of them down through here. This is the only one that's open right now because they're still working on repairs for damage from the hurricanes and stuff.
Wow.
But John, hey, I got something to show you here. It's not hanging real pretty because of, but
well, look at Danny.
Oh yeah, representing.
Danny flying that flag.
right
Good
there.
job.
I gotta get some. Hey, Stacy, hand me that tape. I can fix this.
You gonna make that woman mad, yet, Danny?
Kind of looks like something like that, right?
Yeah, don't even go there and say it looks like me because that's what everybody else says, and that's a lie.
Well, that's what Bill was saying before we went live.
Self-portrait.
Yeah.
Especially the eyes.
Too many beers.
Believe it or not, Bill, I don't drink.
Oh, okay.
Never have.
No kidding. Wow.
Ask Danny. You don't want me to be drinking.
That is a good looking banner though, John. That is a very good looking banner.
That's awesome.
We put a lot into it, Dave. That's for sure.
Well, it looks good, and
Well,
you
I
guys
definitely
deserve
wanted to have
be
that
watched.
hanging up on the side of the canopy, so people would know who we are when they come walking by here.
Oh yeah,
It's a good idea.
Well, I had to get hold of John. I said, dude, I've got to have one of our flags. I've got to have one of our flags. He said, man, if you need one, you got it. Don't worry about it.
So what could we possibly catch here besides a blue crab? What lives in this water? Everything?
We fished here last night. The kids did a show by themselves. Coda did a show, and they caught mostly hardhead catfish, of course. But they did get on some sheep's head, some black drum. Brantley just caught a croaker just a little bit ago. We threw it in the live well because we're going to turn that thing into bait.
Oh, how wonderful. Well, hey, you know what? I'll tell you what. And I kind of told John and Lisa and V and Randy and Parker, but anytime you guys want to go live when you're out fishing, you can jump on my channel. Well, John will give you my phone number. You guys, anytime you want, I can take anybody anytime. We'll go live. The audience jumps on it. Everybody has alert on their phone. I'll help you guys out as much as I can. The world needs to see the young people fishing. It's super important.
But man, you know how much we appreciate that, Dave. It's like this young man that we met there, never met him before in life. We saw him hooked up, and his parents are standing there and say, "Hey, can we get him on camera?" And she goes, "Well, what channel you with?" And I told her, "Well, I'm Danny Stone Outdoors, but right now we're hanging out with Captain Dave." She goes, "You mean Captain Dave from California?" And I go, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh my God, we know Captain Dave."
No way.
Yeah,
That's
the
funny.
people that we met a while ago, that they were going on and on about, "Oh, we know who Captain Dave is." I'm like, "Okay, well, I
Wow,
said,
that's
down there
crazy.
right now."
That is some funny stuff going on right there. Who'd have ever thought this old man would be getting 30 million views a
I'm
month?
telling you, brother. All right, let me get him baited up. These hard heads are picking him clean, man.
Come on, we got to snag something here. We're all waiting.
You gotta let them get it.
This is fun. Everybody's watching. We got a giant audience right now. Gang, everybody that's watching, if you could do the whole world a favor and hit the like button, subscribe, turn this on to your friends and family. Like I said the other day on the show, you guys think you're helping me? Don't worry about that. I'm doing just fine. What you're doing is you're helping America to keep fishing. You're helping America keeping the children fishing. Bill and I and John, we already got this disease. I'm going fishing no matter what. It doesn't matter. John's going fishing no matter what. We got to get the younger people in this so they can see how cool it is, because Bill and I will tell you, and I know John will too, at school they're teaching them that we're the enemy if we go outside.
Pretty much.
And we can't have that anymore. It's time to break that.
Gotta break it. And that's what Danny does right there with his grandkids. He keeps them on the water as much as he possibly can.
There's something to be said about that. If you listened to the show yesterday and we were talking with Tim Ekstrom, the whole thing about Tim, Bill, myself, we grew up in this fishing thing, and I know you did too, John. Somebody took us when we were little kids, and we got the bug, and it taught us how to work. It taught us a work ethic. It taught us how to treat the environment. It taught us how to treat people. Fishing is an amazing drug.
Yep.
There's a reason why you have that tackle store, right?
That's it. That's it. To keep it.
And when you and your wife see the children walk in there, how stoked are you?
That's when you don't make any money.
Because you're giving stuff away.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Oh yeah.
Hey, it's for a good thing, though.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Look,
Yeah, if I had all the money from all the products I given to children over the last 20 years, I'd be able to get a hamburger at McDonald's in California.
Fish
Got a
on.
bite?
I like those rods, man.
Let the children wind it in, Danny.
well, he's an old geezer now.
Hand off. Hand off, Danny. Hand off. You're going to have to throw a brick at him.
Apparently. Yes, indeed. Danny looked like a strawberry. Kind of built like one too, ain't he?
Man, his line was way out there, obviously.
Why is Danny dragging in another crab?
Gonna have enough for the whole family at this rate.
Catch fish with us. Chris said, did Danny push a kid to get that rod? Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
He knocked two kids out of
Yep,
the way.
he did.
We're going to have to throw a brick at him at the end here.
I'm gonna try to bump or backflip this shark.
Okay, one of the children probably would have loved to have wind that in. I can't help it. I can only be me.
Hey, Danny's used to that. Man, we
Good.
give him enough trouble.
Got to get out the net.
Think of that young man standing right there. How much he would have loved to wind
Yeah.
that in. Wouldn't that have been cool? Look at that. Yeah, he would have loved that.
There we go. Got a little shark on the pier.
I got a question.
Dun-dun-dun.
Why didn't you let the children wind it in?
They get it now. They got their own rods out.
Well, remind me not to
They got
take
their
you
own
fishing
rods
with
out.
my grandkids.
I'm thinking that's a
Oh
little, what
my
is that, a little
God.
black tip?
I don't know, but you need to be throwing a brick in.
And that was on a shrimp?
That was on a mullet head.
Mullet head. Okay. Makes sense.
Yep.
That's what we're going to call you,
Yeah,
Danny.
okay, that's fine.
Mullet head. Why the children watch
I'm
Danny
actually in the
winding
process
shark.
right now. Coda and Brantley both have their own shark rods, and we're gonna get those out for them, and they'll get their
Okay,
chance.
mullet head.
But we wanted to get at least
All
one
right.
shark on the trip, so I knew that was a shark for sure. I said the whole thing was come down here and catch a shark. So I'm gonna get one shark on now. It's all free fall for them. They can do whatever they want.
Okay, let's get him to hold that
Yeah.
shark up. Come on. What up, Marley? What up, little Marley monk? Marley's looking at the shark, checking it out. Look at that little shark. If it's a black tip, they got some gnarly teeth.
Man, is that a baby bull shark?
Smile for us. Right, Andrew? Am I right here, gang, or what?
Yeah.
What kind of shark? Come on, shark experts. Bill Varney, come on. You're
What
very
does tail
familiar
look
with
like,
the
Danny?
sharks on the Mississippi
Bring it
River.
up some.
Yeah, it looks like a black
Looks
tip.
black tip.
It's got that interesting tail though.
That was my first guess. Was a black tip.
Got the thresher tail.
Now,
Yeah,
Danny,
no, it's really weird, isn't it?
stick
Yeah.
your finger in his mouth.
All right, we're gonna send him back. We're gonna send him back to the drink and get those shark rods
Bye,
back out.
shark.
But there you go. We finally got a shark on the board this trip.
Lance thinks it's a bull shark. He would know more than all of
Absolutely.
He's too mixed up to know much.
us.
He's from Hawaii, lived in Texas, and now he's
Hey,
up
John.
in Sheboygan.
Do you see which reel just caught that thing?
Yep.
That's the first fish
How
on this
cool.
reel, buddy.
Nice. You guys got those reels at the tackle shop, right, John? Those are the reels you were showing
Right
me.
there.
Yeah, I'm waiting on them to be delivered.
Nice. How fun is this to watch this? Instead of going back to work, gang, sitting here on the pier fishing, this is
That's
awesome.
what I'm talking about.
But that was
Gang, make sure.
that was on a 12-aught German steel River Cat tackle hook.
That's what I'm talking about. And it's, according to the shark expert, it is a black tip. So
I
good
thought
job.
it was. I wasn't sure though.
Okay. You know what the really cool thing about this, Danny, is the internet has a bunch of experts.
That's for sure.
No doubt.
Yes, indeed.
And their knives are all sharper than mine.
Just
All right,
like
well, I've got to re-rig this because, believe it or not, when I flipped him up here, he bit my, that's a 100-pound monofilament leader, and he chewed it in two just as he hit the deck.
Nice.
I wish I'd have paid more attention because I would have gotten my hook back from him.
And John's very glad you didn't.
Yeah, Danny, don't take chances with teeth like that.
Well, I've got some really big needle nose pliers with me.
They need to be long.
Yeah, I've got some that are like 2 foot long needle nose pliers. All right, I got to get all these rods baited back up. The kids need bait. I've got to re-rig this rod, so.
All right. Well, we got John here, so we'll talk to him for a little bit. Watch you in the bottom
you
for
go.
a minute. All right. It's moving
Now
right along.
that's a diehard fisherman there. Look,
Mm-hmm.
he'll hit that river bank and he'll sit there all day, fish or not. He's there.
Well, it makes it way easier when you got the grandkids with you because everything's so
Yeah.
exciting. Everything's so exciting. But I'm sorry, you guys, but I have a deal that I talk about in my live when I do my live seminars out in public and stuff. And we love Danny, and thank you, Danny, for being on the show. But man, if you hook a fish and the two children are standing there looking at you and you're winding in the fish and I'm anywhere near you, I'm throwing a brick at you. I'm
I will
sorry.
too.
I don't understand it.
One shark in. Now it's all bets are off. Everything that comes after this is theirs. I've been letting them catch fish for 3 days, and I haven't got to reel in anything but a few flounder late at night.
See, Matt Ryan, I don't care who you are. I'm coming after everybody. Matt Ryan's always telling me I'm always picking on him. I don't care who you are.
Hey, every once in a while, you got to throw yourself a bone.
Yeah.
No, I know what Danny wanted to do. We needed a shark for the show, and that was bitching, and I appreciate it. I'm just saying. But it was cool to have it, and it's good you caught it. And the audience is huge right now. We got 66 people watching live right now at 12:45 on a Wednesday afternoon. Think about that, gang. That's a pretty big number for a live show in the middle of the day while you're supposed to be at work.
Yeah. But Jeff wants to know if I ever cooked a catfish in a clay pot. Not at all. Mine don't make it past the black iron skillet. Oh, I'm going frying. Bottom line.
Yes, I did. I had a hell of a mullet, Lisa, for that show. That was a great mullet, huh? You should have seen the mullet I had at the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show, John. It was a great, big, giant mullet. I grew it in 5 months.
Yeah, I'm thinking cut all this off.
And then I got home and shaved it.
Thank God.
It had to go on.
It was horrid.
Yeah. Shut up, Bill.
60-year-old man with a mullet. Oh my God.
Bill's just mad because he doesn't
I
have any
know.
hair.
Look at that. Where'd my hair go? I got to wear a hat indoors. I got to protect the top of my head everywhere I go now.
Yes, indeed. I ain't got that problem.
The good thing about losing your hair, there's a couple good things. One is that you know it's raining about 20 minutes before everybody else. And number two, I saved so much money on shampoo over the last 20 years that I had enough money to send my kids to college. So there are some benefits.
Oh my God.
Good night. That's a lot of shampoo.
Really? College is expensive.
Hey, Danny, how long is that rod you're fishing with you caught the shark on? That thing looks like it's about 20 feet long.
No. That is actually on the Ancient Mariner 10-foot Challenger rod bait caster with the brand new RCT reel on there.
Nice.
Right here. These are one of the first rods that I got from John right here. But that is the Ancient Mariner Challenger 10-footer. And I went ahead and fitted it up with this reel. And that's what landed that shark. I've got, like I said, a 100-pound mono leader, but I'm only running 30-pound Berkeley big game on this.
Yeah, I sent that to Danny and said, put it to use and tell me what you think about it.
Well, it looks like it works a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That's for sure.
Well, I've got two.
And then Brian wanted to know, John, what's the hardest dish you've ever made cooking with a catfish? Sounds like they don't spend much time except on a black grill.
The only way I'm going to eat him is if I bake it or fry it. That's my limits.
There
some
you go.
people grill them on a pit. Some people smoke them. They do a lot of different ways with it. Me personally, fried.
Right.
But of course, I like everything fried. Turtle, fried alligator, fried frog.
That picture, you're right, Lisa. It looks just like a painting. Look at that young man with those clouds behind him and the fishing pole.
So
Doesn't get
beautiful.
much better than that, gang. That's pretty spectacular.
That is a good picture.
So what channel can they see these guys fishing live on? They said they were fishing. Danny said he was fishing live last night, John. How can they find
Danny
him?
Stone Outdoors on YouTube.
There you go, gang.
Really?
Yep.
And go click on his page and follow him and be part of the whole thing, gang.
Can you guys still see us? I'm showing technical difficulties on my screen.
No, we see you good.
Okay. I got to try to figure out what's going on at my end of it here.
We see it. Well, now we see it upside down. Sideways.
Well, I'm trying to.
Yeah. Now we're back to seeing it good.
Well, I'm just going to be talking to you guys. As long as you can see me, I don't know what's going on. It says technical difficulties on screen or something. We still
it's
there?
Too hot there.
Yeah,
well,
looks
we're
great.
Yeah, we see you good. Okay. Yeah, you look good, right? Everybody, you can still see him, right?
It looks good to me.
Everybody, leave a comment. Let them know. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. And follow all these characters. Every one of us need you to follow all of us. Hit the like button, subscribe, follow, notification button. You don't want to miss any of this cool fishing, no matter where it is. It's fishing, gang.
Absolutely.
That Lance Makuga, the Hawaiian fisherman, don't ask him about food because that dude eat anything.
Smoked catfish?
I told you he does. That dude eat anything.
Got it.
Hey, Jeff asked about how Benny is doing on fishing at the lakes, and he hasn't been fishing, but a few weeks ago we were down there on the shore, and I just wanted to show you guys, maybe you can make it big, Dave. One of the fish, I'm going to turn my camera around. One of the fish that we caught on the rocks down there, that we caught probably about 15 of them this size, and they were both browns and cut bows.
Well, this.
There's one of the browns right there, and you can see the eggs plopping out of it as it was trying to spawn after it was caught. So, wow. It's been amazing. The fishing has been absolutely amazing up here in the mountains of Colorado. Just about every year up here, it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, I've got a young man that's wanting to be on here, but his dad told him he can't be, and he keeps trying to get in front of the camera, so I have to keep turning it.
No,
he wants a contract.
Yeah, Lance, you eat things raw. I don't even want to talk to you.
Well, as we're waiting, watching for the kids, let's talk a little bit about surf fishing, being Surf Fishing Wednesday, right?
Absolutely.
So the first thing is, I want to tell everybody about, our section on Your Saltwater Guide. Every week on Thursday, we go and get our members prepared for getting out there and surf fishing. And we cover everything from the water temperature, the swell, what direction it's coming from, how big it is, how many sections it is, seconds it is between the swells, the tides, the wind, the weather. This week, we have all kinds of really great tips on sand crabs, how to catch sand crabs, where to find them, how to keep them, how to take them home, and how to keep them at home for a couple, 3 days before you go surf fishing down there. So that comes up on every Thursday, our game plan, and it's amazing, along with a surf fishing report that gives you a really good idea from, gosh, Morro Bay all the way to the Mexican border about what's biting where and what everybody's using for bait. And you know, Dave, we've been talking about this every week, whether it's on Thursday's game plans or on Wednesday's show. It's been phenomenal surf fishing this summer so far. We talked about this last week, how good the spot fin croaker fishing was, especially around that Dana Harbor area. But that has all spread out now from Ventura overhead all the way to the border. I got a report just yesterday of a 5-pound, 1-ounce spot fin croaker caught at Huntington Beach.
No way.
But they're all along the coast, and there's been really, the hot spot has been down around that, you know, Dana Harbor to San Onofre zone. But every day it's been good, and it continues to be better. And there are sand crabs absolutely everywhere. And really a big tip for everybody watching is, if you can go out on Thursday evening, let's say, for example, and collect 20 or, you know, a couple dozen soft shell sand crabs of different size and go back to the beach on Friday morning or Saturday morning or in the evening, you're really going to kill it. Everybody who's listened to that and has done that has gotten back to me from Malibu to the Mexican border and said, Bill, it's amazing. Look at the Corbina, the spot fin I've caught, even stripers on the sand crabs. So it's been really good surf fishing. That'll continue over the next couple months. And of course, this grunion run's coming up on the 10th coming up here. We talk about it in our game plan, how to prepare for those grunion, how to collect them, and then what you do with them once you collect them. So all of that stuff is great information, and surf fishing just continues to be incredibly good.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with what Tim Exum was saying, this cold water cycle that we're in, Bill, right?
The sand crab love that cold water.
And it just keeps getting better. Now, is there a limit on how many sand crabs you can have in possession? Listen to this crap.
You can have 50 sand crabs in possession. I don't think you really need more than that, because they're only going to live, if you know how to take care of them, they'll live for 1 to 3 days, and you're going to need to go down there and get fresh ones. But the fact that, like, you just take one beach, let's just say Hermosa Beach, 2 miles long in Hermosa Beach. There are literally billions. I do not understand why there's a limit on something like that. Like, and I'll tell you why. Not only from the standpoint of there's just literally hundreds of trillions, whatever the next number is, gazillions of them along the coast. There's just so many of them there that you're never going to be in great possession of them, because you can't eat them necessarily unless you're a little bit odd. They're just going to be used for bait. So there's really no reason for there to be a limit whatsoever on them. They're incredibly healthy, and they're everywhere around the world. I mean, they're around the world. They're not just on a few beaches in Southern California. They're on every beach everywhere in the world. So no reason to have a limit on them whatsoever. Fantastic bait in the surf right now.
Well, it goes back to what we always say. It's about control, but you got to be careful, gang, because that's a ticket that they love to write, because that's a low-lying, hanging fruit. And to think that you have to, Bill, just to think that you have to count those mole crabs or sand, whatever you want, just to think you got to count them just to be safe.
And they're hard to count. I'm telling you, they're hard to count. And why are they hard to count? Because they're alive. They have, like, what, 4 or 8 legs or whatever. They're running away from you constantly. It's not easy to count them. And once again, it's just an absolutely ridiculous thing. Most people will not even have 50. And if you had a few thousand that died, you throw them back in the ocean, nobody would even notice. So, yeah, there's no reason. And I really wish that the department would say, we want to take the wardens and have them concentrate on egregious things, people fishing without licenses who need them, people taking way more than they should, or undersized fish that we are worried about. But when it comes to things like clams and sand crabs and sidewinder crabs and all of these things that are at the beach and by the bazillions, really should lay off of those and concentrate on the things that really do affect the biomass.
Yeah, and I just want you to think the sand crab gang, there's no nutritional, no one's eating them. No one's going to go down there and take a truckload home to feed their family. There's no value in eating them, but we go right back to what we talked about in the beginning of the show with John was it's about control, gang. That's the whole thing in the United States of America right now. It's how I can control the population to fit into the pigeonhole that I want them to be into. Not right now, what they're watching up there in the top with Danny and the grandkids, that is pissing them off like you can't even comprehend, John.
Oh, no.
There's a lot of those people that are madder than hell at Danny right now for taking them grandkids outside.
Yep.
Exactly.
And
And you know, John, we talked about this on the last show, and it always comes back to mind to me. You know, catfish in Ohio, Kentucky, Louisiana, anywhere in the South where you're going to find catfish, and even out here in California. If you look back and you read literature from the 1800s, like Mark Twain, for example, catfish was one of the mainstays of subsistence food for people all through the South and really into the North, as far as that is concerned.
yep.
And for them to want to put controls on something that for hundreds of years, of course, they've been here for thousands of years, but for hundreds and hundreds of years have been used as food for people living in rural communities. It really breaks my heart when they come out and they tell me that, you know, we have to have more equity. There's these people who can't make it down to the beach, or they can't make it down to go fishing, and they need the ability to do that. Well, these are all these poor people who catch the fish, and in particular catfish, and bring them home so their family has something fresh, nutritious, and full of protein to eat. What is their problem?
They don't want you to do it. Bottom line, they want to, as Dave said, they want to control. That's what they want to do, control.
I think they do. And, you know, the fact that people can, and Dave and I have talked about this, that people can go out and go fishing and hunting and get food on their own really bugs them for some reason. And what's really ironic about that is prior to the modern era, that's what people did, that you had to go out and get food on your own to be able to survive.
Yep. That. I mean, look, I was raised the same way. We ate a lot of fish because that's what was easier for them to get. Mm-hmm. It was abundant, you know, that it saved a lot of money.
Yes. And in large part too, John, I think you knew what you were eating. You know, if we go out fishing, I mean, we don't know what the fish is eating over its life, but in general, it's in a very clean environment. It's eating other types of protein in order for it to grow. And then when you catch it and you bring it out of that environment, you clean it, it's about the cleanest, most organic, best food that you're ever going to get. When we go into the market and we want a piece of salmon nowadays, it's grown in a hatchery somewhere. They color the meat. They put antibiotics in its food, and they're telling me that I should prefer that rather than being able to go out and catch this food on my own. It just seems a little bit ironic when we're talking about people's health, where we take them off of what's most healthy and what's most natural and organic, and then feed them things with dye in it.
Yeah. That's like 922 Crappie right there said, if you get it yourself, they can't profit from it.
Exactly.
Right. And they got no control over what
exactly.
you're eating. You can't have that. Can't have no control.
I mean, it does make you wonder, you know, so under the current administration, they've come forward and they've said, hey, there are all of these dyes that we know are bad for you. They have been made against the law in Europe and countries all around the world who do not allow them to be added to their food. But it wasn't until this administration and until right now that we went back to these companies and said, you really should not use those any longer. Why did we allow that for so long when on one hand we're talking about diseases people have had chronically for decades now, and then on the other hand we're talking about how important it is for natural.
Oh, what did we catch? What did we catch? We got a fish. Alert, alert, alert. What is that? Nice. Good job, young lady.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it over to the camera. That's insane.
That's awesome.
And I was over trying to rig up the other shark rod. Look up.
Can I take him?
Yeah, you can take him off. Throw him in the bait cooler. We'll cut him up for bait.
Show us. Let's watch her take it off.
Okay.
Come on.
You can do it, Coda.
And see, Coda, look at her just grab that fish, gang. Most of you dudes would be terrified right now.
Coda, I know adults that are afraid to touch fish and bait. It's funny as heck.
Oh my gosh, I cannot keep a good grip on it.
Hey, Coda.
Yeah.
Let everybody know what your personal best is on catfish.
My personal what?
Your personal best.
The biggest.
PB.
What are you looking for?
My PB.
Your personal best. The blue cat is 39 pounds.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, she caught that
Come
in Kentucky. We were below Barkley Dam. She was the only kid in the tournament fishing a bunch of grown men, and she actually had them running scared for a little bit.
That's great.
Huh?
You know, adults are always for kids to catch a fish until they catch a bigger fish than the adults. Then they start getting jealous and cranky.
Straight off.
Yeah.
Then when
Bill,
I-
I've had
Y'all you got anything? I caught it.
We're
I've
drawing a lot of
had-
attention. We got kids from all over the pier come running down here, so we got a bunch of them hanging out with us.
Yeah, a good thing to do is just get shrimp and just drop it straight off. That's how I've been catching.
Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken exchange students out on the boat, and they've caught catfish for the first time. Actually, fish for the first time in their life.
Wow.
He was from, I think that little fellow was from Russia.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was Duke Ekstrom was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how he went to college, and he was talking to, you know, his other freshman college mates, and they were so amazed that not only was he a fisherman and he was good at fishing and been on a fishing boat, but he knew how to change the oil in his car. He knew how to start a chainsaw. I mean, I thought it was the funniest thing. Times have changed so much. Like when I was a kid, that was something our dads always taught us, something we always wanted to do. I mean, my dad put a rifle in my hands at the range when I was probably 6 for the first time and got to experience that. And it's amazing how many young people now, like you said, you could take somebody out fishing who's 17 years old, has never picked up a fishing rod in their entire life, never even crossed their mind.
That's true. I mean, and to be honest, Bill, that is a lot of it.
Yes, that has a ton to do with it.
That's a lot of it.
And you know, remember when we're kids and well before that, people would always talk about how fishing was good because it would teach you patience, that you would sit there and be patient, maybe have a whole day without a fish and be patient enough to go fishing again. The problem with this thing is that when everything in life is instantaneous, when you wonder like, oh, who was our 12th president? Well, you don't go down to the library anymore and take out a book and look it up and learn who the first 12 presidents were. You look on your phone in 10 seconds or 1 second, and there it is. And you know what happens 1 second later? You forget who it was because you haven't taken any time to learn what things are. Everything is so instantaneous. And so as a result, John, who wants to go down and sit on the bank and wait 2 hours for a bite when everything is 2 seconds long in the phone? So it's a terrible thing. It really should be taken away from everybody.
Yeah. And that you see Patrick Gray, he knows exactly where Danny's at because he goes down and fish that area a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. He's a member of the group River Cats. He's mainly a saltwater guy.
Did everybody leave fishing with Danny? Everybody went home?
They're having snacks.
They're probably snacking right now.
Got it. Hey, Lisa wanted everybody to know, if you want to hear some background on the River Cats tackle, tune in to Trophy Seekers Outdoors at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. That'd be 6 o'clock our time, gang, if you don't know how to do simple math.
I'm a lie.
There you go. Don't tell them the truth no matter what. Try to pretend like you're the governor of California.
I'm going to be my own governor.
Yeah. Yeah, the cool thing about the governor of California, they caught him eating inside of a restaurant, and he stood right there inside the restaurant and said he was outside. Why we all were just going.
That sounds like something Danny Stone would do.
Huh?
God.
Man, look, I've seen Danny fishing on the river in high water. The river's rising.
And I'm steady working behind the scenes here. We're trying to strap down the canopy. I'm trying to rig up rods. I'm trying to keep bait on there for the kids. I'm running crazy here.
You got it, Danny.
You're doing a wonderful job, Danny.
Danny, as long as you're taking care of them grandkids, that's all that counts.
He's got a lot of equipment to keep going, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Matt Ryan said, Bill? They want to put a slot limit now on the striped
yes,
bass?
that they want to have the striped bass in a slot limit of like 25 to 30 inches. And, you know, Dave, we talked about this before. What has happened with these striped bass is as they spread out along the coast, they've gotten bigger each year. So if we went back like 5 years ago, a lot of them were like 12 to 18 inches. And then like 3 years ago, they were like 18 to 25 inches. Well, this year, so many I've seen, and I've seen it hundreds of them, over 30 inches. So they're saying, oh, we want this slot limit 25 to 30 inches. If you looked at what everybody caught this year, maybe 1/50th of the fish could have been kept based on these slot limits. And here's an invasive fish that was brought to California from Maine in 1879. And they're telling us that they're worried about it. It's just the oddest. Their science is so backwards. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It doesn't make any sense. No. It just goes right back to how we started the show off, gang. They just want to make sure that you know that they are in control. And like I said, we're pissing them off when we do these live shows every day, showing people fishing. Yep. Danny and the grandkids out there fishing. John and his crew out there catfish fishing. That's just pissing them off. So let's just keep doing what we're doing, gang, and keep fishing.
That's what we do. Keep fishing. As long as you're fishing, it's going to keep them upset.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, Dave, what you know about this squid. So this new rule that's coming down on commercial and recreational squid fishermen. So some of the stuff that they've said seems to make sense. They basically said, like, if you're a commercial squid fisherman, you can't fish squid from noon on Friday till 6 o'clock on Sunday. So it gives the recreational anglers, you know, more of a chance to get squid, and maybe you're not in the way. And I'm not sure the whole reasons, but it sounded good. The thing that I was confused about was it said recreational boats who are permitted to do so and let the Department of Fish and Wildlife know can collect squid under lights over the weekend to be used exclusively for recreational fishing on the boats. but all squid not used on the boat needs to be returned to the ocean. So my question was, does that mean that when you go out on the half-day boat, three-quarter-day boat, overnight trip, and you're fishing with squid, and you decide like, hey, I want to take 10 market squid home to eat them tonight, or I want to take 10 market, out of the bait well, 10 of them home to freeze and use in the bay tomorrow. Is that against the law now?
They want it to be. Yep. Because once again, it's about control. They don't know. No science. No science. John, the squid he's talking about lives out here in Southern California. It shows up in our cold water years. It's not a big giant squid. It's a small squid, like 10, 12 inches long. Is about as big as they're going to get. The average is 6 to 8 inches long. These are squid that you'll, like if you at the tackle shop, you're selling squid for bait. Those are the squid you're going to see in that box. They come from Southern California. We have a fishery out here in Southern. It is the #1 export in the state of California. I'm sorry. You can all think that it's something else, but it isn't. It's squid. So they found out a couple of years ago that the commercial fishermen were making a living in California. So this pissed them off like you can't even comprehend. Once the government found out that there were people making a living on something they knew nothing about, and they were actually sending this squid overseas and the people were paying for it, and the government found out, they were like, we got to figure out how to end this. We have to figure out how to end it. There will be no commercial fishermen in the state of California making a living, okay? Let's just be perfectly honest. Nothing pisses the government off more than the commercial fishermen making a living. So, since that day, they've done everything in their power. Now, this squid that we're catching, gang, you have to understand, when it spawns, it dies. So when it gets to 10 inches, it's a spawning squid. That's maybe a 2 or 3 year old animal. It dies and it's gone forever, and it lays on the bottom of the ocean and it's dead. So what we do is the commercial fishermen are able to gather this animal up and send it out. And then what people don't understand, the United States of America is the largest consumer of seafood in the world. Okay, John? But we're not allowed to catch our own seafood and sell it in America. Okay? All of your seafood that you buy, even in Louisiana, the great state of Louisiana, it is all coming from foreign markets. Because why? You're not going to buy the U.S. caught seafood because it costs too much. So when you get to the market and you look and you see a shrimp right here that costs $2, and then you see a shrimp right here that costs 19 cents, you're going to buy the one that costs 19 cents, not knowing that it came from Indonesia and it was filled with plastics and fillers to make it weigh more. You don't know that. It's not on the box. Well, the squid that we're catching, they found out that we're actually making a living. So then they told us that we can't catch it on Friday nights, Saturday nights, and we can start fishing for it again at noon on Sunday, which is absolutely ridiculous. Makes no sense. Now they want to play with the regulations some more, like Bill just said, and make it so that if you have the squid on the boat and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and your sister's brother's aunt has a booger hanging out of her nose, then you're going to a federal penitentiary if you took one of those squid home and ate it while the booger was hanging out of your nose. This is the kind of crap we put up with on a daily basis in California. So yeah, Bill, the way they made this law, I would hate to be the fish and game agent that has to try to write that ticket. Because as you read through it, and you sent that to me a couple of months ago, and I read it and I sent it to Don Brockman, and it's just one more way to kind of regulate the system. And these guys haven't made any money fishing this squid for a few years because we've been in a warm water cycle, so there hasn't been any squid. Now we're in a cold water cycle. People are catching the squid, John, and our government has to figure out how to screw that thing up so that they can't make a living, which is sad. And another thing I talk about on my show all the time, we bring Tommy Gomes, the fishmonger, on the show all the time. We have to work together with the commercial fishermen. We're all in this together. And the United States of America consumes more seafood than any other country in the world. I know you don't want to believe that. I know you don't. I know you don't want to believe it. But we do, folks. There's way more of us, and we're way more gluttonous, and we're way more pigs, and we're way more into wasteful food. We are. There's no country that wastes food like the United States of America, gang. And as far as seafood goes, we are the biggest gluttons of seafood in the world, no matter what. You go to China or you go to any of those other countries, they eat every piece of the fish. They eat the fins, the bones, the eyeballs, the tail, the butthole, every part of it. Not in America. We take a little piece of it and throw the rest away. We don't care. We're pigs. We're gluttonous. We don't care. But every time we start to get a little step up, John,
knock you right back down.
So that's what's going on here. Same thing that's going on with your catfish, only making it so that these guys can catch it, put it in a little swimming pool pond, and then your child can pay $25 to go catch this fish. Kind of ridiculous.
Like we said, control.
Absolutely. You know, here, John, this is something that'll just break your heart. In 1962, Milt Shedd, after coming back from the Second World War and being a war hero and going to college and doing all those things, he decided that he wanted to start SeaWorld. So 2 years before opening SeaWorld, and he never meant to have whales or anything like that, was always going to be different fish and creatures from the ocean. He started Hub SeaWorld, who spent 2 years figuring out how to keep marine animals in an enclosed environment, how to feed them, how to take care of them, all of these things. So we have known in California alone since 1962 how to breed fish in a hatchery style, saltwater fish, and let them go in the ocean. They have basically, other than white sea bass and a little bit of halibut, never allowed us here in California to be able to grow our own fish out and not only repopulate the ocean, but sell those fish. They've never, ever allowed that. Whereas in other countries all around the world, they do it all the time. And they feed them stuff like human waste and stuff like that. And that's the tilapia that you find in markets like Whole Foods and other markets who say, oh, it's perfectly natural, it's organic and all this. It's coming from out of the country. It's never been graded. The USDA doesn't even take a look at it. And that's the seafood they expect us to eat when we are the ones who invented the method. And as a matter of fact, if you go down there to Hub's research in San Diego, you can look in one of their holding pens that has 15 to 40 pound yellowtail that have been swimming around in there in a circle for 10 years. It's absolutely proven science, but they make it as difficult as possible for us to harvest or grow our own food from the ocean. But it's perfectly fine for them to import food from Vietnam, fish from Vietnam that's been fed human waste.
You're right. And that's control.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, gang, what we're going to do, we've been going on for an hour and a half. We're going to end the podcast right now, but we're not going to end the fishing on the pier. Those of you that want to jump back in and watch the fishing on the pier with Danny and the grandkids, and John will be on here and he'll be talking about what's going on. I got a bunch of stuff to do. My hour and a half of free time is over. I'm going to let John kind of run this thing, and Bill can stay on if he wants. We're going to end the podcast, and then we're going to start the live feed right over again. Are you cool with that, John?
I'm fine with it.
And Bill, you can be on here. You and John can talk on here and do whatever. And I got a bunch of stuff to do. I may jump back in again, but I got people calling me and everything. So I want to thank you, John, for taking time. Danny, Bill, everybody that was on the show today. Thanks for all the participation. We're going to go fishing with these guys now for a while on Your Saltwater Guide channel, and hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being a part of the podcast today. Have a great day. Turn off the news. They're all lying. And then tune back in a few minutes to see John and Bill. If Bill stay, are you staying?
I got
Bill?
a bunch of stuff to do, and I got to work on our videos for this week. So I'll be stepping off.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. All right, everybody. Thank you, Bill. Thank you,
All
John.
right, Dave.
Good to see everybody.